Welcome back to another Stock Market Open Live. It is great to be back. Boy, what a wonderful 3-day weekend. Archery, horses, you name it. What a wonderful way to unwind away from the craziness of stocks and finance and the giggity. But the good news is I actually kind of really enjoy this. And so, great 3-day weekend for re-energizing and being back to the grind, as we say. But this is really exciting. So what I've been watching just over the last day here, and quite frankly a week, has been this failed breakout over 71 one on BTC. To me, big deal. We've been rising above that 71 level. We tried hitting 70,600 last night. We really like hanging around that 61 line. We saw 61 over here, fell through, and obviously once we really broke through. Now we're getting rejected by the 69-ish. Not great, but it's something that I see as a proxy to risk assets. So even if you're not like all in on the good old BT sizzle, that's okay. I do see it as a proxy for really every asset in the broader stock market. So it's something to pay attention to. Obviously, the Ethereum ETFs had virtually no movement after the initial approval. You had most of the movement for Ethereum on the speculation that the approval was coming, and then virtually no. You can see the candlesticks here. Virtually no movement once we actually had approval. Though we are getting this slower move back up to about 4K on Ethereum, so maybe something to watch for a breakout. What really is breaking out, though, instead, it seems to be people's allocation to NVIDIA. It's up 3% in the pre-market. Now, this is actually pretty remarkable given that we consolidated somewhat sideways there after earnings between about 1040 and 1060 on Thursday. Friday, towards the end of the day, we did break out a little bit into the 1070 range, and I guess that was enough to really give us a big boost to where now we're sitting at almost $1,100 for NVIDIA. Pretty impressive, especially since the next fib line that I've been paying attention to, which was something we brought up before earnings, was $1,116. So there it is. You can see we're going straight towards it. The fibs potentially going to strike again. Apple running up about 175 here in pre-market. Pre-market seems pretty enthusiastic. As well as, let's take a look at some of the other movers here in the pre-market. You got some, ooh, look at that, 21% on GameStop. Okay, is it going to be one of those weeks again? Especially since we've got, looks like AMC's in here as well. AMC at 3.5%. So potentially some entertainment in the momentum movement again. I think once you kind of start a momentum movement, it's sort of like almost like an everyday thing where people wake up and they're like, all right, who's the revolution today? Who's the high short interest play today? Who's it going to be? And looks like we're back to good old Giamizzle today. So we'll see how that continues. As far as caddies, good old caddy catalysts calendar. Ooh, today we have at 7 a.m. the home price index, and that's pretty much, yeah, well, we get consumer confidence. I'm sorry, that's at 6. Okay, so home price index comes out in about 31 minutes, and then at 7 a.m. we'll get the consumer confidence levels. Those are all coming out today. In 2 days, we'll get the beige book from the Fed. 3 days, we'll get GDP annualized quarter over quarter. And then on the 31st, we'll actually be getting PCE inflation data here at the end of the week, which, of course, as you know, on the 31st, we'll have an expiration on the coupon for the courses on building your wealth. Remember that the Stocks and Psych group comes with buy-sell alerts, but all of the courses come with lectures on building your wealth, as well as course member live streams, which we're excited to have every day the market is open. Towards the downside today, we have DraftKings at 6.5. There's got to be news on this one. Let me see, DKNG. Let's find out what's going on here. As well as Green Wave, that momentum coming back down to 8 cents right now. Okay, DraftKings, what have we here? Illinois sport betting tax, really? Yeah, that's one of the most challenging areas that, or reasons that I've personally stayed somewhat out of some of the gambling related or gambling adjacent stocks. mostly because of the uncertainty of what regulators are going to do in terms of taxation or allowances. And it doesn't surprise me that you see this sort of stock sensitivity in DraftKings following some of these hits on new taxations. So interestingly, Coinbase down 90 bips as we kind of get rejected by some of the fib levels on Coin. The Coin really not holding up the way BTC was. Well, then again, Coin was up about from like 218. Let's see here. We were bobbing around 218 when Bitcoin was around 60, right? So 218, now we're at 235, up about 7.7%. We were around, maybe call it like 63 is probably where we were averaging. If I add 7.7% there, it puts you at about 68K. Okay, that actually might be right then. Let's see here. BTC, yeah, about 68K. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so maybe not that horribly far off on their alignment. So, let's see here. Okay, that's interesting. All right, so that's DraftKings. Let's go with now. T+1 happens this week. Actually, really starting today. A lot of people talking about it. I honestly don't think it really matters much at all. It just means trading will settle within one day. Some folks are wondering, oh, will there be any kind of risks associated with lack of cash available to settle that quickly? And my expectation is in the long term, we'll actually end up getting the T+0, where you basically have same day settlement. It's just a matter of time, I think. Okay. What else? Let's see here. Okay. So here's a Bloomberg intelligence piece on the electric vehicle charging industry appears to be on the cusp of a shakeout. And they refer to a plunge in EV adoption rates, which could spur a consolidation. And Tesla's sudden ambivalence about the growth of its industry-leading fast charging network could push sales to rivals such as Blink, ChargePoint, EVgo. I don't know about that. Do we actually think people want to buy those? But it's an odd conclusion. But I see what they're saying. I mean, when you fire the supercharger team, does it make you wonder that like maybe people should be hiring other companies? I don't know how much of an impact that's going to have, so I don't know that I necessarily agree with that one. Let's see here. Interesting. So GameStop raised nearly $1 billion, really. Hold on, what is this? Let's see here. GameStop shares extended. Let's see, why? GME said it brought in nearly $1 billion from a share sale program amid renewed interest for GameStop. Okay, so they sold about $1 billion of shares. I mean, that's great. They sold about 45 million shares to raise $933 million. And they did that earlier this month. Smart. Good for them. So basically they're saying, hey, like, we already raised the money, rather than sort of giving this heads up that like, hey, we're going to dump $1 billion of shares. They're like, hey, we're done. We did it. So that's leading GME to move up, which makes sense because you don't actually have the selling pressure ahead of you anymore. You have it behind you. But that could be why you had such... look at this bleed that you basically had. And I hate to say it, but one of the reasons you probably had this substantial bleed on the average candlesticks was because you had $1 billion of selling pressure from GameStop. Now, you can't blame them because it's a great opportunity for them to really, pay off some debt and increase their longevity. So good for them. I actually think it's a wonderful thing, and that's exactly what you would expect a company to do that is exhibiting momentum movement, as we like to say. It's a big deal. Paying off your debt is huge. Being sort of debt-free, excellent. Can somebody enlighten SV Tiny Dancer? Ooh, I like the song Tiny Dancer. What the vest is? No, they're not French fries. That's what Max thinks they are. Max thinks they're French fries. Okay, that was when he was 4. He's like, French fries. Anyway, so, okay, good for GameStop. That's great. Obviously, it in part contributed to the failing of sort of the momentum rally that we've seen over the last few weeks, and sort of this consistent downtrend. But it's actually a really good thing for the longevity of the company, which that's the whole point. Whole point of the stock market is to provide liquidity. Attendees, they're RuneScape coin stack. Somebody knows. So anyway, let's see here. What do we have here? Zoom out. Okay. Somebody's asking about what do I think about Enphase being up. So Enphase and its trend up, it's really looking like it's going to start breaking out here. This is a pretty strong period over here between this 113 and 118. It's actually kind of sad to see it leave this area, because I think, like, I have to give them a shout out. One of the reasons I've been able to double the trading account in the last 3 months, I feel like, is because of the trading range some of these stocks have been in, including Enphase. So, anytime I used to, now because we're out of it, but anytime I've seen a trend on Enphase bobbing between like 113 and 119-ish, and I traded on it, I sent alerts to everybody in the Stocks and Site group saying, hey, here, I see that trading range again, and I'm going to make a play here. Now, obviously, I can't guarantee everybody's going to make money on those trade alerts, but they're always included in the Stocks and Site group. But let's just say I started with like a $950,000 trading account that's now $2 million in just from March. So, we're talking 2.5 months. That's really good. One of the shout outs I have to give is to Enphase. So, I mean, knock on wood that can continue. No guarantees that will. But I'm grateful for Enphase. And it's one of the reasons I think I've been able to pull this off. One of the many trading ranges we've seen. So we'll see, I guess, what the next trading range is. But yeah, I mean, good for Enphase. Now, why is it actually breaking out? Well, probably because everything else is getting, frankly, more expensive, and that Max Pain is probably already priced in for these. Now it's just a matter of pre-trading the interest rate declines. Now, you might say, okay, well, why is that not happening with Tesla? Well, with Tesla, you have this incredible uncertainty around the share buyback plan. And frankly, I think a lot of people are going to vote to punish Elon Musk. I've said this, frankly, since the vote began, that I think there's a high likelihood people would try to punish Elon. And I'm not, taking it aside whether you should punish him or shouldn't punish him, or whether you agree that, what was advertised as the stock comp plan was fairly disclosed at the time or whatever. My POV is that people are just going to be spiteful, frankly, over what they might view as a distracted Elon, as, an Elon that's moving now supercomputer building to XAI, artificial intelligence talent to XAI, of course, under the guise that those employees would have been lost anyway, and potentially a more rash comeback over the last couple months, leading to the firing of what was actually apparently a very good and respected team like the Supercharger team, solely to sort of clean house in the lead up to his stock comp plan. So that's like where you stand on that is ultimately up to you, but Enphase doesn't have that overhang. So if you're solely trying to make an interest rate bet, you can have a clean bet on Enphase and a frankly quite dirty bet on Tesla. Now, that's not to say that Tesla can't be a better opportunity in the long run. Not saying that at all. But what I am saying is that you're probably going to have a cleaner play with less drama at Enphase. That's my theory, at least. So if you think Elon will not get votes, why are you holding the stock? Well, my exposure to the stock it doesn't really, in my opinion, has little to do with the stock comp plan. It has much more to do with the longer term. I do think that the stock comp plan is a huge negative catalyst, and it's one of the reasons I've, in the short term, reduced my exposure to Tesla substantially. But in the long term, I don't really think it matters for Tesla. You have to look at Tesla as, okay, it's an electric vehicle company. Where are we with electric vehicle adoption rates? Are they going to increase over time, or are they going to, stagnate over time. And then you also have to look at the value of full self-driving in the long term. And frankly, I've actually become a little bit less bullish on that, mostly because I think in the future, just every single car is going to have full self-driving, whether it's an NVIDIA platform or a Tesla platform or whatever. And Tesla's mode is actually somewhat evaporating. Now, that doesn't mean I don't think that their solar division, their supercharging division, their potential Optimus division, it doesn't mean I'm not optimistic in these categories. But I'm way less optimistic than I used to be about some of the moats that Tesla has, mostly because consider this. If you have a 6-year moat in full self-driving because Tesla's operating full self-driving vehicles between, say, 2016 and 2022, and nobody else is, fantastic, you have a moat. But what happens when you can actually train, once you have the data that Tesla does, whether it's through actual collection and simulation or otherwise, you could train that entire data set instead of in 6 years, you can train it in 6 months because of new compute technology like Blackwell, which Tesla's not even running Blackwell, and Blackwell is supposed to be 4 times as efficient at training than the H100 series. So really what you have to look at is a green company that unfortunately has a lot of CEO volatility, but on top of that, it's probably going to lose its full self-driving mode, I would suspect, within the next 5 years, which means unless there's a larger innovation outside of full self-driving, some of that long-term value that a lot of folks were very enthusiastic about at Tesla does start to evaporate. And that's unfortunate, but it's just a sad reality. Now, does that mean, sell the entire stock? No, I think to me, at least for my opinion about the stock, it's been just reduce exposure to. I don't think it's the play it used to be. So, but anyway, yeah, that's a more thorough answer there. But anyway, in the meantime, it does look like the Qs are really just marching on to their, quite frankly, 501 high. Well, it's not a high, it's sort of more of your fib level. That's a thesis for me, and so that's pretty exciting. So we're watching that 501 level. Keep in mind that if you inflation adjust the highs, you're probably going to be running closer to like 518. So I think it's funny that Jagged Mag here says, Kevin, are you familiar with Grant Cardone? I don't know if he's being serious or not, but somebody else might have something to say about that one. I think it's kind of funny. Let's see here. Did I see that Rob's asking if I saw a video of Mercedes versus Tesla? No, I mean, I don't even need to look at it because, frankly, and I'm happy to, but Mercedes is nowhere close, right? Mercedes is limited to 40 miles an hour on the highway. It's a LiDAR-based system. It's not really the future, in my opinion. It's really just a fancy adaptive cruise control system. So I wouldn't compare Mercedes to Tesla, and I don't think there was ever a competition there. So I'm not making a bet there. But let's just say when an automotive company comes out and uses something like NVIDIA Orin to, is it Orin? I think Orin is the next version. Because it wasn't the last one Thor? NVIDIA Drive Thor. No, Orin is the current platform. NVIDIA Drive Thor, which BYD, Xpeng, and others are already planning to use for production vehicles starting next year. That's where your competition comes from. So you don't actually have NVIDIA Drive Thor out yet. Of course, then you have people who are like all in on Tesla that are evaporating. Shake my head, you're so biased now. Or you have a stick up your ass and you refuse to open your eyes to the reality that in the future, every car manufacturer will have full self-driving, and therefore there is no full self-driving moat. And as chip technologies get better, that moat shrinks faster and faster and faster, especially as it becomes more accessible to capture the data that's needed to do the training that Tesla's done for the last 7 years, which can probably now be done in 6 months. And if you don't think that what I said has even a slight possible reality, you should go to the bathroom and take a look, do a little feels down there, because there's something so far up there, it's starting to affect your brain if you don't realize that. But frankly, that's your problem. That's not my problem. Anyway, with that said, let's take a look at some of the other movers this morning. So Dell's up another 4.5%, 4.9%. That's amazing. Somebody says here, if it's licensed, there's a moat there. Nobody's going to license it. Elon's been bragging that people are going to license this since the beginning of 2023. Is bullshit. It like, we're in talks with an OEM. You've been in talks for a year and a half. It ain't gonna happen. Frankly, even Tesla staff has said even if somebody did sign up to license FSD, it would take 3 years to deploy it. And frankly, by that time, they can just train their own freaking model. And they know that because then they can take their own money and then they could start getting Tesla valuations, as opposed to auto manufacturer valuations. So, if you actually listen to what these CEOs say, you'll see why they don't want a license. Look at the CEO of Ford. He bluntly says, the future is software. That's where the money is to be made. Okay, what CEO at Ford says the future is software and then hands that future to Tesla if it's going to take 3 years to integrate a Tesla FSD into a Ford? They may as well just make their own damn FSD in 3 years. It's shocking to me. I think how blind people are about the ability of other companies to come up with FSD. And I hate to say it, I didn't think that was true until, frankly, the H100s and Blackwell. But that is, like, what led to the success of version 12 for Tesla, unfortunately, is also going to lead to the substantial success of other companies. It wasn't the Dojo chip, which is now just like a high-risk play per Elon Musk, is actually the NVIDIA chipset. And Jensen pitching, like, I heard somebody in a video, honestly, I don't know why, but I listened to this video when I came back from my like basically no cell phone trip. I mean, mostly no cell phone trip. I had my cell phone, so I got to take pictures and stuff. Really cool pictures, by the way. But I had, I was looking at or watching this video, and somebody's like, Jensen shouting out Tesla should be so bullish for Tesla. They're like the stock should be moving up way more than it actually is. And I'm thinking to myself, what are you smoking? What Jensen said is bad. Jensen's basically taking, to some extent, a lot of the credit for full self-driving. And he's basically advertising to all of Tesla's competitors that you too could have your own full self-driving suite if you buy our chips. That was the best advertisement I've ever seen for NVIDIA. Not for Tesla. I mean, that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So again, that's my thesis, and you don't have to believe in it, but that's okay. I had a great time. I'll show a couple pictures here, a few pictures. We'll see what I could show. Give me a second here, because we really had some fun this weekend. Do I have them all in here? I think so. Yeah, I think I can just go through these pretty safely. Doesn't look like you're going to get any, 18 plus pictures here. But anyway, we had, we'll do a quick little fly through here over the weekend. Pretty cool. Here's Jack with his little cabin area here, and a little cabin, what are these things called? Golf carts. It was really fun. So really great weekend, with the boys. It was all dudes trip, father-in-law, my dad, Jack, Max. They got to learn how to drive golf carts, both of them actually. Did some archery, which was kind of cool. I always tried to shoot them in the eyeball. I could never get them in the eyeball. Compound bow. Oops. There we go. Compound bows, regular bows, horseback riding. Whatever. They wanted us to wear cowboy hats, but I'm like, no. I got too much back. I got 7 kids. Give me a helmet. It was just a cool place. Great time. Rodeo. Yeah, you name it. So, marshmallows, whatever. Look at Max with his bow. That's kind of fun. But anyway, yeah, great weekend. Really fun. So, okay. So where are we here? Let's see here. Now we've got, but yeah, what I did is I'm like, hey, we did so well with the trading account. I just threw money at a nice Memorial Day vacation, and it was like some all-inclusive kind of like ranch thing, like 5-star, like everything. And I'm like, this is freaking sick. So thank you to the trading. Thank you to the Weeble. MattKevin.com/Weeble if you haven't signed up for Weeble yet. Paid promotion. Uh, but yeah, anyway, let's see if we can make some more money trading so we can do some more fun trips like that. Anyway, so what else do we have here? Rent the Runway down 4%. Goog's down about 61 bips. Microsoft, Amazon sitting about 21 bips down. Not a lot of red today. Barely about a percent down on the day there. So very interesting. Long-term perspective on Hood. Somebody's asking for bullish. I actually see Hood as a great play for, frankly, what's it called? Crypto exposure. In terms of crypto trading exposure, I think they make a lot of money out there. I'm a big fan of Hood long term. I'm actually very, I personally now have an exposure to Hood in my personal portfolio. And even though Coinbase is a sponsor of the channel, shout out to Coinbase, mettkevin.com/Coinbase. Get up to $200 when you sign up using that link down below, or just mettkevin.com/Coinbase. Coinbase, I think, has the ETF crypto risk that Robinhood doesn't have. See, with Robinhood, while you can't own crypto directly, that's easier to do through Coinbase, right? If you want to own, purchase it and then move it to your own wallet or whatever, it's easier to do that through Coinbase. It's harder to do that through Robinhood. And so, for direct exposure to crypto, I prefer Coin. But for trading revenue exposure, I way prefer Robinhood because I'm going to get exposure from the crypto ETFs, the Ethereum ETF, the Bitcoin ETF, the future ETFs that come out for all the other tokens and coins or whatever you want to call them, the various different types. So I actually think Robinhood has much better exposure there, which Coinbase cannot have exposure to. Coinbase, while it might have custody exposure, I think will be a fraction of the money that they'll be able to earn from trading revenues. And that's where that's where Robinhood's going to do, in my opinion, quite well. That's just my thesis. Canada. But yeah, remember, Coinbase is not a broker-dealer. Robinhood is a broker-dealer. Which is pretty remarkable. Yes, it is a RuneScape Max cash stack on my vest today. Okay, let's see here. Just had industrial product price month-over-month release in Canada. Not actually that great. You actually just had some hot numbers come out of Canada here. Industrial product prices coming in at 1.5% versus 0.9 expected. And raw materials input coming in at 5.5 versus 3.0 expected. Now, one of the reasons we're probably seeing some movement in these input prices is that if you go to the Bloomberg Commodities Index, for example, you're actually going to see that commodity prices have been rising since about February 19th. Let's see how they're doing today. Let's throw that up on screen here. Yeah, you can see that rise is somewhat continuing here. So this is going to increase your your commodities input costs. So, again, being a custodian for crypto, I don't actually personally think matters that much because I think that Robinhood's making about 50 basis points on trades, whereas Coinbase maybe, if they're lucky, making about 10 basis points on custody right now. And I think that custody fee will actually get whittled down by competitors like Fidelity and other competitors. So you'll probably end up closer to like a 5 basis point fee for custody, and trading will still have pretty wide spreads. And I think that's where much more money will be made. I'm not saying Coinbase is not going to make money from custody, but I've always been a believer that in the longer term, the ETFs would end up hurting trading revenue over at Coin. Robinhood disguises their fees better on crypto. Without a doubt. I mean, you're also typically, like, let's be real. If you're a trader of crypto, I would much rather trade on Coinbase because I think I'm going to get tighter spreads, especially you open up a pro account. Get started at Coinbase if you haven't yet. Obviously, paid sponsor, but go to mettkevin.com/Coinbase. get up to $200 to make an account. But I think your spreads are going to be much tighter at Coinbase. So see, remember the thing about me is, like, it doesn't matter, sponsored or not, I'm always going to be pretty clear. Like, I would trade there over Robinhood. I think Robinhood, you're going to be paying basically a higher fee in the spread that you get. And that's just my opinion. It could be wrong, but that's just what I've noticed personally in the recent term. When you compare sort of the pro account versus the Robinhood standard trading. But I will say, years ago when Robinhood first came out with crypto trading, and I executed trades on like Robinhood and some of the other competing crypto platforms at the same time, Robinhood was also pretty competitive. So again, while I think Coinbase is going to be better for trading now, Robinhood benefits from those ETFs much more, in my opinion, than Coin does from an investment into the actual stock point of view. So my thesis could be entirely wrong, right? Those are my opinions. But both great products, both great services. So we've got GameStop up now 21%, still moving on that reveal that they've basically raised $1 billion, which is brilliant. Nvidia still up 3%, and Enphase is up at 285. So let's go see what we might have for. I think because I've been gone so long, well, it wasn't actually that long. It looks like my CM to Sizzle's off, so I'll have to jump over there in a moment. But, yep, we'll get that going in just a moment. Let's see here. Okay, take some time on that. Okay, what do I think about Meta? Failed breakout. Let's see here. For the first time in forever. For the first time in forever. What is that? Isn't it like Frozen line? This has been... Lauren has that on, like, loop with the kids. Like the little babies. It's kind of funny, but they're just mesmerized by it. So it's kind of funny. If you haven't seen him yet, I posted this picture on X or YouTube or whatever. All the little babies right here. Actually really cool. We got Summer in there as well, which is cool. You can see Summer's the teeny tiny one right here. This is her twin, by the way. Isn't that wild? So kind of connect the dot over here. But this is her twin. So you can see the size difference between the two. But she'll catch up. So anyway, so where were we? I think we were going to talk about, Meta. Yeah. So for the first time in forever, I have a personal exposure to Meta. I basically bought the sell-off on earnings. And I don't know. I mean, we might have to draw some fibbies on here and play with this. I don't know where I'd want to point them to. I'd probably put it closer to a consolidation in 23 than trying to go all the way back to 88 since we're so far off that level now. But, I think you've seen something similar at Microsoft too. I don't think Microsoft has been able to break out at 430. Yeah, look at that. See? We've constantly tried to break out at 430 and we just keep getting rejected there. So it'll happen. I think that'll push the indices up to these all-time new highs that we just haven't seen before. And people are going to freak out and go, what the hell's going on? Why is the stock market still going up? Inflation's still so high. As soon as people realize inflation is gone, this sucker will be at inflation-adjusted all-time new highs. I'm still pretty confident about that. But some work to do, obviously. All right, where is my... Is it just my cable that's unplugged? I don't think so. Okay. Here, give me 1 sec. I gotta take a peek at what's going on over here. Let's see here. Let's find out. Yep. That could be a reason. Alright. I think I may have found the reason. So... There we go. All right. I think figuring it out. There we go. Disney? I don't want Disney. There we go. Ah, yes. Yes. Success.
Let's take a final check on the markets before we hand things over to Squawk on the Street. The Nasdaq closing at an all-time high on Friday. It and the S&P 500 both looking at 5 weeks of a winning streak. The Dow was down last week by 2.33%. This morning, it's indicated off by about 30 points. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Right now, it's time for Squawk on the Street.
Yeah, buddy.
Good Tuesday morning. Welcome to Squawk on the Street. I'm Carl Quintanilla with Jim Cramer. David Faber's back at Post 9 at the New York Stock Exchange. Holiday shortened week, but tech looking for some fresh footing with both Apple and Nvidia up 2 to 3% pre-market. NASDAQ is looking for a 6th weekly gain, and of course PCE Friday. Our roadmap begins with Minneapolis Fed President Kashkari telling CNBC he is in no rush to cut rates, adding he needs to see, quote, many more months of positive inflation data before making the move.
Plus, some new numbers are showing that Apple iPhone sales jumped as much as 52% in China for the month of April. The stock is also on track to open in positive territory for the first time this year. And Elon Musk raising the stakes in the AI wars. His company xAI receiving $6 billion. That's the latest round of funding. It does value that company at some $24 billion.
Speaking of which, let's talk about this tech rally following the fresh record closing highs for the NASDAQ and NDX on Friday. Jim, this OpenAI thing's going to feed right into that flywheel.
Yes, it's a great way to look at it, because when you see that valuation, what you say is that's a confirmation again of what happened last week. There are a bunch of notes today. And boy, there was an analyst on Frank Holland's show this morning talking about a $10 trillion valuation of NVIDIA.
I saw you give him a shout out this morning.
I think that it wasn't a completely absurd valuation. It was kind of the ineluctable moat. You can't really take them on. The index, the AI is going so quickly that perhaps this is the biggest story ever. Now, that's even bigger, I think, than aggressive than even Jensen Huang may say. So what we have is people just starting AI. We know we like Musk. He's got a valuation. I thought maybe that thing would go actually to Tesla, but no. And there's no, let's just say there's no governor on what people can say last week on AI.
I mean, to your point, Musk raises, and I've been aware of this, at least from a couple of people who've been on presentations that were made a while back for Musk's xAI, raises to $6 billion. Where do you think that's going? My understanding is they're going to be building, as much as 1 million square foot data center in Tennessee that's going to have, and again, I'm hearing this secondhand, but how many? You tell me how many H100s are going to be in there, or Blackwells are going to be in there. So most of the money being raised here is going to end up in where else?
Yes,
NVIDIA.
NVIDIA, and now we know that Musk left that, and then he's come back. When you talk to NVIDIA, you don't get about their AI business. What you get is that they're developing autonomous machines that aren't really, they don't think of them as cars. And then you layer this in, well, this would be part of an autonomous machine. So I'm confused, David. I'm confused about how much of this new company would be used by by Tesla.
I think you're right to be somewhat confused, and I don't have the answer for you in that way. They're separate, the AI efforts at Tesla in terms of self-driving and xAI. And in fact, I think the union here would be more closely Twitter, the old Twitter, and this, because you can use the data set from Twitter, which is real time and is very valuable potentially for a large language model. So that may be more where you see it. Obviously, he owns all X, so it's a private company. He can do whatever he wants with it. So it may be there that there's more opportunity for his efforts again in AI, which of course are competing against the much larger still that we know about, obviously OpenAI, and then you go on from there in terms of everybody else's, whether it's Meta, whether it's Microsoft with OpenAI and its own. We'll see what Apple comes up with.
Something.
And obviously Alphabet, which was the leader here so long ago with DeepMind and continues to be right in the race.
A really cynical person could say, had there been no issue involving his pay package, that maybe this would be within Tesla.
We're going to get to the pay package actually in a minute, because Glass Lewis this morning has, the somewhat influential proxy advisory firm has said don't vote in favor. That vote's coming up on June 13th. But we'll talk about that in a bit as well. It's interesting. It's an interesting question you raised, Jim.
But to go back to your point, Carl, I just feel like that what's happened is, if it's AI, whether it be Dell, as a way to have the AI PC.
Can I pull off that for a moment? So, I mean, we've already talked quite a bit about Tesla this morning. We talked about DraftKings this morning. We talked about Enphase versus Tesla this morning. One of the things that I think here is interesting is this talk about how you could build out these LLMs using Twitter's data over at XAI. I actually think that it's probably the greatest enthusiasm and excitement for Elon right now is what's going on at XAI, not so much what's going on at Tesla. It almost feels like sort of like a frustrated parent coming back to coming to clean up their child's mess. I hate to say it, but that's a little bit what it feels like with some of the attention Elon's given to Tesla recently. But hey, maybe that's too bearish. Anyway, let's keep in mind that we're gonna jump in over here for a moment. Let me see if I can get Doom up. Is that up? Yeah, it's up. But I want to talk catalyst really for next week in just a moment too.
Time we're going to see anything. Let's see by the end of this week when we finish up with Fed speak, go into the blackout period, and see PCE whether or not those numbers hold.
All right, Mike, thanks very much. Michael McKee there talking to us about expectations for inflation, PCE at the end of the week, and for the Fed cuts at the end of the year. Scott Kronert, Citi U.S. Equity Strategist, Managing Director, still with us. And you expect the cuts to start, you just said, in July. Does the election have any bearing for you on what happens this year in terms of Fed policy?
Well, in my view, I don't think the Fed is going to want to, wade too far into the election path, if you will. And again, I think the angle here is that we've come pretty far in terms of the inflation deceleration dynamic. We get it. Higher for longer makes a lot of sense right now. But I think if the Fed's going to move, I do think sooner, is better just a distance from the election, which is going to be a whole different set of discussions as we flip the mid-year and begin to go into the second half of the year.
Now, Scott, does the Fed just want to cut? Do they want rates, at some point when they're able to be lowered, or do they have to cut? Meaning, do you see weakness coming through in the labor market? Do you see the broadening out of good earnings fizzling? How does that work out?
Well, I think from our perch, the issue here is where you want to be relative to the underlying economic circumstance, right? So if you become data dependent, which the Fed, I think, pretty clearly is, and you wait for the data to show signs of the deterioration that would then trigger the need to cut, you're almost too late. You put yourself back behind the circumstance.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know if we're gonna really get there. I mean, frankly, you have to also consider immigration keeps the job numbers up, right? Like, whether it's legal or illegal. When the Bureau of Labor, like, I think a lot of people don't realize this, and it's okay. But I want you to think about this. When the Bureau of Labor Statistics calls you up and says, hey, remember, first, quick little side note, there are two versions of surveys the Bureau of Labor Statistics does. Two of them. And it's worth knowing about these. But one of them is, hey, how many employees do you have working for you? That's your typical establishment survey. Note, in that survey, they don't say how many of them are illegal. Because even if they did, it's very likely that nobody would actually respond to that because they don't want to get in trouble, right? So that's not a surprise. But what's worth noting is you've got the second survey, which is the household survey, which also doesn't care if you're illegal. So, in other words, you have this situation where the government, frankly, benefits from all forms of immigration right now because it makes them look good going into an election. I hate to say that, but there doesn't actually, like, outwardly there's this, oh yeah, we want to stop illegal immigration, but frankly, it makes the current administration look good going into the election. Why would you actually want to solve any kind of immigration issue right now? Let the numbers keep going because you could talk about how strong job gains are. And this is not like, I'd be saying this whether it was a Democrat or Republican in office. You know me, my goal is just to be as neutral as possible, to the extent that it is possible. And the reality is that when we look at how these surveys are made, it kind of makes sense that really you're just you're in a place where you're probably just not going to get bad unemployment data. because you're just going to keep having immigration. And as long as you think the immigration crisis is going to keep going, you're not actually going to have bad jobs data. And if you don't have bad jobs data, then the Fed doesn't need to emergency cut because of some recession coming, because jobs data is what everybody's paying attention to right now. Kind of crazy if you think about it that way, isn't it? It's almost as crazy as in the morning as I was just packing to go on my trip this weekend, our awesome Ranch Dudes trip that we did. I was still able to eke out, and I was trading about 60K Friday morning, if I remember correctly. Anyway, it was a smaller day, but I got about a $14,000 gain on Friday. I made money on Enphase. Thank you, Enphase. On the triple Qs, I traded the data release. Then I traded Enphase and Tesla. Made some money here. Did screw up a little bit on an SMCI. I've got that was a fat finger early entry, which really sucked because I was watching it and I was kind of playing with my little chart, and I screwed up my entry on that. So I lost money on that, but that was only within the span of a minute or so on SMCI, which sucked because it was big. But anyway, and then I did lose some money on Dell. But that was my Friday trading. 10K of that was just a dumbass mistake. But anyway, so anyway, that was Friday. But this is my year-to-date P&L on this trading account is up $1,020,000 now. And here's the total account. We grew that from like 980 or whatever it was to 2,026,000. So if you haven't yet joined the Stocks and Site group where you get my trade alerts, I don't trade alert if I fat finger, obviously, but you get my trade alerts and my transparent P&L and my Webull trading account here. You can join the Stocks and Psychology of Money group. It's all about education. Can't guarantee you that my performance is going to keep going and keep being as green as it is. Can't guarantee that you'll be able to make money, but my goal is to teach you how to fish, so to speak, so that you could see some of the patterns that I do and potentially make some moves around some of the education that you get there. So take a look at that. Link down below. Next coupon expires this Friday on the 31st, which is also the day we get the release of PCE data. PCE is the Personal Consumption Expenditures Index, and that is the Fed's preferred inflation gauge, though it's probably going to heavily mirror what we saw with PPI and CPI, since the PCE just sort of takes data from that and then re-weights it a little bit. But we'll get that release Friday morning. That's really our catalyst for this week. So that's Friday morning at 5:30 a.m. We'll be covering that. And then, of course, at the end of the day, we'll have the coupon expiration for those courses on building your wealth at meetkevin.com. A lot of people, by the way, I'm seeing are bundling the Gold Entrepreneurship course with the Stocks and Site course. And if you have any questions about bundling, you can email us at staff@meetkevin.com. We'll take care of you today. A lot of people also wanting to bundle up the event in Vegas that we're doing here in June with the stocks group or the real estate group, I'm noticing. As far as other catalysts that we've got coming up, so we got PCE, the expiration of that coupon code, and all my trade alerts with the Stocks and Site group. After that, we are going into next week already. This week, other than Beige Book and really the data on what's it called, PCE. Other than that, we're really going right into next week. So next week, we're looking at the 3rd, which is Monday. We'll get some ISM data. We'll get JOLTS on Tuesday. So next week will be a little bit more entertaining. Not only are we going to get JOLTS, but we'll get the first labor report for May. That'll be out on Friday. So we'll get our average hourly earnings, which are expected to be at 0.3%. The unemployment rate expected to be at 3.9%. We'll get that next week. And then we'll also, in the following week, get CPI data already again. It just feels like time's flying by. On the 12th, which is about 2 Wednesdays from now, so tomorrow and 2 weeks, we'll get our CPI month-over-month data, which... don't hold your breath, but month-over-month headline is expected to come in at 0.1%, with core expected to come in at 0.3%. So we'll take a peek at that. So really, really exciting. Yeah, love the coupon code being a catalyst. Thank you for that. Anyway, yeah. Kevin hates losing. I really do. Like it was like I think it was a couple weeks ago or whatever. I was up like $125,000 on one trade and down like 50K on a trade. So net I was obviously way up in the day. It was up like 75K. But the 50 that I was down, I was so pissed off about because I was looking at it. I'm like, I know what I did wrong. We had a whole lesson on it in the Stocks and Psych group. I'm like, here's what went wrong. Here's why it happened. Here's how I can prevent it from happening in the future. Here's the mistake I made. But I was so bitter about that the entire weekend. And of course it was a Friday too. Friday's like the worst day to, and again, I was up money, but the money that I lost that day, made me so much more bitter than the money that I made. Like that weekend was like, I was just annoyed over it. Mostly because I think like I shouldn't have made that mistake. So I was just sort of like disappointed in myself, I guess is the way to put it. Again, it was an up day by a lot. So it was a really good day. I mean, it was up like 5 Fridays from what this Friday was. But still, sometimes that, what do they say? It's the, people get more pain from a loss than they do from a win. I think that is like entirely true. And it's important to know in psychology as well, because you don't want to, like there's this thing called revenge trading. And I think the easiest way to think about it is when you think of playing Call of Duty. And I always make this analogy. I'm like, some guy's like camping. And you're like super pissed because the guy's just being a little, like he's got his tent out, he's got his sleeping bag out, he's got his campfire, like this guy's not going anywhere. And he's just really annoying. He's camping you with a sniper or whatever. And you die and you're like, that guy's in such a loser spot. I hate that guy. I want to kill him, whatever. You just kind of like keep running over, but you just keep dying and dying every single time you go there. That's like revenge Call of Duty. And it almost always fails. Like you almost never get them without like dying like 5 more times. And then your KD ratio just goes to crap. You're like a 0.2 now on 5 deaths and a kill. It's stupid, but whatever. So that can happen in trading too. And that's just very normal, like human psychology. Some of the stuff that we talk about as well in the Stocks and Psych group, hence Stocks and Psychology, buddy. But anyway, okay, enough about that. So those are some of the caddies we're going to be looking at. Obviously, here in June, we also, I think it's June 13th, we have the Tesla vote. So that's going to be a pretty big deal. Yeah, June 13th is the shareholder meeting. And so I think you still have time to vote on June 13th, but I'm not sure about that. I wouldn't count on that. So I don't actually know when the voting and oh, here it is. Deadline to submit proof of vote is, hold on, what is this? Proof of voting. Vote your Tesla shares and win a factory tour with Elon and Franz. Wow. They're doing anything possible to kind of make sure this vote passes. That's funny. Okay. Yeah, let's see here. Your vote counts. Oh, here we go. Let's pull this up. I want to just make sure I have as much info as possible on this. So what do we have here? Vote by June 12th. So it's actually the day before the shareholder meeting. Meeting to be held June 13th. Vote in person or virtually at the meeting. So you could also vote at the meeting. Or at the same time of the meeting on the 13th. So that's kind of a blurry deadline. But I imagine then to actually consolidate all of the data, it might take a little bit. They got to make sure they count all the suitcases of ballots. Anyway, so, all right. I don't actually think they have paper ballots, but what do I know? I'm sure there's a way to vote by paper if you really wanted to. What is this? Yeah, see? View the combined document online, or you can receive a free paper copy, blah, 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 whatever. Anyway. Chris Wood, I've never deleted old content to gatekeep it under new programs. Never done that. In fact, if you look at my channel right now, you could go through and look. All my old videos, they're there. They're just sorted into little playlists, which is exactly what I said I would do. So we have the content is all there. So I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about, Chris. Maybe you're just confused, but that's okay. We can unconfuse you here. That's part of the goal, is to unconfuse you. So what else do we have? So today we're now 10 minutes away here from the good old what's it called? Market open. Let's go listen to Jimbo here for a moment. See what he has to say.
No, it's not. Like then when we have.
I never deleted Millennial Money, mind you, right? Like if it were up to me, Millennial Money would still be live. I actually think those videos would be a really cool lesson to go back and watch. I wish they were all live.
We will take.
That's not my channel though.
Right now, why? And I think it's a very commonsensical approach. I really liked it. I thought it was very smart this morning.
And so what? We're gonna just hang around 4.5% for a while?
Yeah.
For a long
I
time?
think so. Until things break down. I mean, he's saying don't use a timetable. We want to use timetable on TV. Now, immediately after he said it, there was a very good manager, I know him for 30 years, who said, oh, come on, there's 2 cuts. There's one in September. There's one. No. He's not saying that at all. He's saying, look, here's the game plan.
Speaking of Millennial Money, your price target for Tattooed Chef seems to have been spot on. Darn. If only we could have had more videos and price targets. I had fun. It's a little late in the day. Filming at 6 p.m. is a little bit of a challenge, but yeah, it'd be cool if it still existed. But I think everybody has bigger priorities, and that's okay. So, all right, what else is going on here? So, let's see here. Target was 0. Yes, the target was 0. It was pretty funny. I still remember, I think we were on a live stream, and I'm like, here, let me show you where the support line is on Tattooed Chef. And I literally drew the Fibonacci, it wasn't a fib, but I drew a horizontal line at 0. And this was back when it was at $18. And I was so pissed about the advertising campaign they went with, the whole, the buzzing with the tattooing or whatever. I'm like, these people have absolutely no clue what they're doing. And, I freaked. I'm like, this company's going to 0. Obviously it did. That doesn't mean I'm right about every call, but, I try to add my perspective where it can. So anyway, what else do we have here? Then you've got, GameStop. Let's see here. 24% now on GameStop. Dell, 5.6 on Dell. That's cool. We've got SunPower, 4.7. Plug Power, 4.7. By the way, might do a call for interns again, by the way. If stay tuned for details on that, but it'd probably be something like send me a 1-minute video of your pitch over to jobs@meetkevin.com. It would be in person. But anyway, stay tuned for that. It'd be either accounting or software, finance, real estate, really open to anything. But stay tuned for that. I'll probably have some more details on that. Anyway, just hit 1100 on NVIDIA. I actually think we're probably going to go to 1116 today. That's where I have my next line drawn is 1116. Very, very interesting. So stay tuned for that. As well as look at that run there on Enphase. Really, really exciting runs here in the broader market. Enphase moving nicely. NVIDIA's moving nicely going into the open here. GameStop is above that 2269 level. I'm going to watch that. It's definitely going to be in play today if we come back at all and retrace it all. Waiting for a breakout on Microsoft. Q is pretty stable here with 28 bips going in. And then you've got, what is this here? You've got Tesla breaking under the 178.56 line. Not great. Probably going to push it down to 175 unless you get some nice green candles here at the open. So Dell, somebody's asking if NVIDIA is a bubble. If there's any bubble, it's Dell, not NVIDIA, in my opinion. But good for Dell. Hey, great. I can't touch it. Then you've got Goog down 62 bips. Faraday Future sitting around $1.20. Robin the Hood was up 6% on Friday. Finally picked up some exposure to it on Thursday, but I think it was Thursday or Wednesday of last week. Then Palantir's sitting at 21. Amazon's down about, falling a little bit too into the open there. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, let's jump in. Elliott has a $2.5 billion stake in Texas Instruments. Wow. I don't have $2.5 billion to invest. Let's listen in over here.
Look at some of the analyst recommendations on Wall Street this morning. First up is Mitsuho upgrading Norwegian Cruise to a buy, expecting shares to benefit from the improving macroeconomic outlook. Next up is Argus downgrading Southwest to a hold, pointing to rising expenses and recent delays to aircraft deliveries. And then finally, Wedbush upgrading Airbnb to an outperform, seeing an attractive valuation with healthy demand for the summer travel season. In terms of the pre-market moves, we don't have a lot, although the direction is the same, whether you look at the S&P 500 up 0.2%, the Russell 2000 up 0.7%. As we just heard from Scott Kronert, Citi thinks that rate cuts will benefit small caps more than they will the broader market.
Well, yeah, probably, because small caps are the ones they're drowning under high interest rates. That's actually a good bet. Do you still have a put on Enphase? No. I have no options right now. I don't have a single option contract right now. I put my portfolio out, my trading portfolio, and I don't have options in my long portfolio. But where is it? This is my whole trading portfolio. Like most of my money's in long term assets and investments, but this is really the only place that I trade. And that's where I send all my buy sellers. But I do have like as I take tendies and trades, like the cash balance on this account's like 1.1 million. So part of me is like, all right, I'm just gonna kind of keep putting that into like long, into the. But I mean, I don't know. I haven't done it yet. So, but anyway, yeah, those I don't have any options open right now. I really like to. Most of my trades I close out the same day. Like if I'm gonna hedge a longer term bet, I might hold an option longer. But usually I don't hold options overnight. The decay is too much for me. I have done it before, and I made a lot of money doing it before. But I've also lost money on trades doing it before. So it really has to be. There has to be a good reason for it. And so sometimes there is. Sometimes you get some crazy price action on a Friday where you're like, this is gonna reverse on Monday. And then it does. But I'd say that's maybe 5% of the time that I'm open to holding through overnight. Most of the stuff is just day trading. Somebody here says, how will Optimus talk to humans without LLM? Who says it won't have an LLM? I mean, you could just plug in OpenAI GPT if you wanted to at this point. But, yeah. Kevin, you need a coffee? You know, I got two. See? I got both of them right here. My Transformers. I already finished this one, though. What do you think about this one? How does this one look? Let's see it. Look at that. Isn't that nice? How cool is that? That's pretty sick. This one's pretty cool, too, I guess. Look at that. Oh, yeah. Look at those eyes. So, anyway. Ooh. I don't know why Amazon is slipping into the open there a little bit. So, okay then. So, boy, another day, another hopefully dollar. Well, whatever alerts I send, make sure you're part of the Stocks and Psych group. If you want to see what I'm trading today, be sure to send out those alerts. And I think the screenshot I posted of the P&L, and that I'm going to make sure that gets posted too. I think I forgot to post that Friday when I went on my vacation, but that's okay. We'll get that caught up. Basically, I post my P&L every day, so I'll just put a screenshot of that date and make sure that's posted there. But that's my goal, to post that P&L every single day. So just transparent, make money, lose money, just be transparent about it. All right. So here we go. We are now about 30 seconds away. So what I'm watching at the open, Enphase. Are we going to hold on to that 3.25%? Are we going to hold on to this NVIDIA 1102? Are we going to hold on to the 84 bips on Apple? Everything dropping slightly into the close. Let's find out as we go into the open.
It's a very good call. I really do. I loved them last week, Carl. I was like shocked the next day when it wasn't hot. Shocked.
Not to mention, we did set a new record for travel on Friday.
Oh my! People are not. That's not ending. And all I can say is that when you see the two tiers of the world, or two tiers of America, which is that there are people who are saving and trying to make do, and there are people.
Blah blah blah, Mr. Jim. All right, here we go. So these are the cues. Looking for that direction on the cues. Trying to go for a green there on the unaveraged. NVIDIA is going for a red. We're getting sells at $1,100 on NVIDIA. Going both directions here on Enphase. Microsoft is losing, getting fully rejected at the 430 there. Meta's trying to move up. GameStop, look at that. What did I say? I literally said it while this sucker was up like 25% or whatever. I go, that 2269 line is going to be in play today. And look at that. It's trying to bounce right on it right now. Look at that. It's crazy. This is why when I see trends, I send alerts. My goal is to hit it like that. Anyway, 68.3 there on BTC. Where are we going here? That's Barnes and Noble. We got Supermicro trying to green candle. You've got AMC fallen. It's about 2%. What did I say? Oh, like 30 minutes ago, I go, Tesla losing the 178 means it's probably going to go to 175. Boom! It's down 2%. It's at 175. I love the lines. Trust the lines. Just like NVIDIA, 1116. Watch it today. Mark it. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm just saying, watch it. 1116 is the number today. And you just hit 1108, mind you. This is crazy. Look at that run on Enphase. Holy smokes, it's 4% on Enphase. GameStop keeps bleeding. NVIDIA keeps trying to pump. The Qs are pumping as a result of NVIDIA because NVIDIA is going to pump everything else. Meta's moving up. Apple's bleeding. Tesla bleeding. Supermicro's got the pump in it. You've got Dell. Well, Dell actually bleeding. That's a little bit surprising. But it is up 5%, so it's doing quite well. You've got Goog turns green at the open. Wow, and so does Robin the Hood, probably on that GME movement there. ARM's pumping back up to 116 here. And let's go look at the downside. Wow, DraftKings just gets smoked at the open on those new taxes. Holy smokes. It's now down 8.5%. SunPower's up 7.5%. Holy smokes. This is pretty remarkable, honestly. You've got Tesla now down 2.3, keeps falling. We'll try to see where bounce level is. It's possible bounce level is going to be at 174. Not sure if we're going to make it all the way down there. NVIDIA's now at 1109. Again, keep an eye on that 1116 level. Enphase is starting to get rejected at 131, although we're just on the first minute here. The first 15 minutes of trades, pretty nervous about making trades, although sometimes I do. And then, of course, we'll be looking at our next lines here for Enphase to find our next trades. Meta just gave up some of its rally there. Oh, it's at 112 now on NVIDIA. Oh, snap. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, the Q's just got a fat red candlestick. Holy crap. What the hell? What just happened on the Q's? Microsoft bleed, Meta bleed there, GME falling a bit. Apple's now bouncing. Tesla's, there it is. It's at 174 already. Holy crap. It's losing 174 on Tesla now. Oh my gosh. That's quite bizarre. Okay. So, let's keep an eye on that. The Q's coming back to green. There we go. Trying to push again on Tesla, not on Tesla, on NVIDIA. Trying to get a push there again. Come on, baby. I don't know. Can it get to 116? Boy, it's having trouble getting to 116. 112. Here we go. 113. Come on. 114. Oh, snap. This is crazy. Come on, man. 116. That's the number we're looking for. Holy crap. Tesla's sitting at that 174. It's not holding it, though. can't hold it. Enphase can't hold it either. If NVIDIA gets rejected here at 116 and then everything just tanks, that'll be really interesting. It'll really show you that NVIDIA is just in the driver's seat of this market. Enphase giving up on some of its enthusiasm. We're only 5 minutes into the trade. Oh, here comes the first red candle on NVIDIA. Oh, that's so close to 116. Come on. There we go. Push it. Come on, buy the dip. All right. We'll keep an eye on that. DraftKings now down 9%. ChargePoint's down 3 and a bit. Celsius down 8%. What the hell happened to Celsius? Holy smokes. Celsius, let's find out here what's going on. Celsius. This is Celsius. I'm going for Celsius, beverage for valuation under pressure. Some price target changes. Nothing really spectacular here. Let's listen in here for a moment.
Because of that dilution. And they simply don't think that, and they say that that award, the size of it is concerning. That said, Jim, and it does come in far above any kind of dilution we've ever seen associated with other grants made to chief executives, okay?
Right.
Could be as much as 8.7% dilution. That said, the company has a detailed presentation on their website at this point from the board, talking about everything they did and why they did it, and saying Elon's required to hold the shares for 5 years after he exercises the options, and they believe his award is fully aligned with the interests of shareholders. And many would say, yeah, he delivered. He delivered.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't he get his money?
I totally agree. I mean, look, it was options. It could have gone out worthless. This is one of those, hey, Elon, heads we win, tails you lose.
Enphase just gave up like 2%, by the way. I don't know if it's NVIDIA getting rejected or what, but Meta's red, Microsoft's red. NVIDIA's only up 2% right now. Apple's still up 1.2, though, and Bitcoin below 68.
Don't you wish every executive, I mean, the average, look, the guy at Boeing, Carl, what's he pulling down, 30? How'd that going?
The guy,
30.
You're talking about Dave Calhoun?
Well, I was trying to, just kind of make a point, like in Guys and Dolls, trying to be like Harry the Horse.
He did inherit a mess, to be fair to Dave.
True, but I'm saying that in America, if you're a CEO, you pretty much start at 30.
Yes.
What CEO makes less than 30? I need to know.
A CEO is not being paid enough, clearly.
Well, what CEO doesn't make more than the first 20,000 people who work for the company?
Yeah.
Remember in 1980 when Reagan was 1981 when Reagan was president, the CEOs didn't make that much more than this.
No, like they made like 400
Only
grand.
100 times the average worker. Now it's 300.
It's like
if they gave away half their salary to the workers,
and in the media business,
strike.
it's even more. I mean, you pay the CFO $30 million. You can't find a CFO.
You're
CFO
in the media business.
I am. Yes.
You want to detail exactly who's paid like that?
No, I'm just sort of putting it out there because there's been so much value created in the media business that these guys are all well deserving of.
Okay, they all did. Was it? But they kind of 10-1 reverse split.
I'm coming slowly but surely to the the end of my time here at CNBC.
No, not slowly. Not slowly. That's the big problem you have.
Although, Jim, and David, worst Memorial Day box office in almost 3 decades if you strip out 20 and 21.
Yeah.
Garfield and Furiosa is about all that the studios had to offer on an important weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I was with someone, Ben Stoto, who watched Fall Guy. He streamed it. I mean, I spent $50 trying to watch it with my wife.
I went to that. I went to see that in the movie theater.
I liked it. What did I know?
I liked it too. It was
Who
nice.
knows? Maybe it's an older person's movie. I don't know.
Gosling, he's it's a movie star.
Well, but I just think that Oppenheimer looks like a distant past.
We'll see.
Barbie.
I mean, there was the strike, and there is an emphasis on quality over quantity. Evercore today takes Netflix from 650 to 700.
There you go.
As they do some work on this sunsetting of one of the tiers.
Yes. It's interesting that Apple Plus puts out things that are quite good. It means nothing because Apple's so big, right?
Nothing.
I mean, NVIDIA could issue Gone with the Wind and Wizard of Oz, and it wouldn't mean jack if it was backed in the, 39, what was that then? I mean, there is just nothing that explains the mega caps. It doesn't matter what they do. But if you're in a movie studio, it's like remember when Universal was independent. and they had things like Close Encounters, and people would like take it from 38
Jaws.
to 41.
Jaws was a good one for Universal.
Jaws was a good one. Yeah, you could actually. Sumner, my old friend Sumner Redstone, when he, they had the movie company, he would.
All right, this is boring. Okay, so NVIDIA just hit 116 literally within the last minute here. It's now breaking out. It looks like we're at 117 now on NVIDIA. Holy crap. It's just going right through it right now, blasting through it. Let's see if it can hold. Qs are trying to come back up. Enphase just had a big heart attack and is coming back. Tesla is under its 174. Big line for Tesla right here. Can Tesla recover and get back to 175? Big deal for Tesla here. It's getting stuck on the floor a little bit right here. Apple 1.4%. Really good for Apple. Enphase slowly trying to come back up, but nowhere near the momentum it had this morning. NVIDIA is now at 118, keeps going. The Qs are getting stuck. Tesla's really getting stuck under that 174. Not a great position to be for Tesla. You really want to see Tesla move above that 174 level. You've got, let's see here, you've got AM Dizzle sitting at about 81 bips. Monday.com, 38 to the downside. Let's go for larger movers here. Yeah, Tesla's struggling there, struggling. GameStop is only up 14%. You've got Virgin Galactic up 9. NVIDIA's now at 119. It's almost at 120, folks. Holy smokes. Then you've got BTC back to 68, which is exciting. Look at that. A little bit of a recovery there on BTC. Looks like you had about a bottom at about 7 minutes past the open on BTC. So bottom 7 minutes past on BTC. If I go look at the Qs, honestly, on the Qs, we're probably at roughly the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7-ish, 7, 8-ish minutes in. You had a little bit of a local bottom there. And now getting that move there on NVIDIA, now 1120. I wouldn't be surprised if it rubber bands back to this 1116 number here, but so far, it doesn't look like you're getting a lot of movement there. Oh, look at that candle on Enphase out of nowhere. Nice fat green on Enphase there. Waiting for that sort of recovery on Tesla. Tesla's really getting stuck at that 174 number. If it can get above that 174, I think it goes right back to 175.60, if not even 178. It could still be negative on the day. We closed, what did we close at on Friday? Friday we had a close of 179, so you could actually get to 178, still be negative for the day, but have less of this pain that you're experiencing right now on Tesla. So I'm watching this one really closely. If you're in the Stocks and Psych course, did send out a trade alert already to those of you in that group, along with screenshots of what's going on. So then we've got the Qs really just not able to hold on today. Enphase is really also having trouble holding on. Look at Microsoft right back to that 428 line. There goes NVIDIA. I'm telling you, that 116 line, pay attention to 116. It's going to be a big deal today. Super Microcomputer giving a little bit of a bleed as well. One of the reasons I'm not looking at calls on AI right now is I don't know how robust breaking out of the 116 is actually going to be here. But if we do get a little bit of a drawdown in the Qs today, it'll be fascinating because things opened up so green today. Look at, I just want you to see Celsius though. Why is Celsius down 11% today? I know they had a shelf offering a couple weeks ago, but it doesn't really seem like anything remarkable that's going on otherwise. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on there at Celsius, but NVIDIA does want to keep pumping, and Tesla's stuck at that 3% level right now. Let's listen in again over here.
Michael Dell out, man. Well, a lot of roads lead to Michael Dell.
He was in the front row. They had the conference.
He is.
I didn't see anyone else there.
He's still one of the most important people in business and technology in this country.
Humble is known as seeks no limelight.
No.
Gets reiterated as a buy over at Loop today, Jim. And we are going to get HP later in the week, along with a slew of specialty retail.
Look, HP has to tell a very specific story about how the partnership, it's a partnership with Microsoft. It's not just that they are a dumb machine that Microsoft has taken over. And Enrique Lores has to say, we have better AI. Now, Dell has a huge AI franchise. So it's really going to be very competitive.
Jim, when it comes to earnings, we're also getting Salesforce, aren't we?
Yes, and the stock has just been a drag. Like, it's just been one way.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
This HubSpot, right? You know this
the
company.
junior Salesforce.
Now, there have been many reports about HubSpot being in conversations with Google. My understanding is absolutely true. All stock potential deal from Alphabet to acquire HubSpot. But my question to you on it is, would Salesforce have interest in HubSpot? Because I've heard, there is some sense that it's somewhat competitive with them in a certain area, and perhaps they'd be taking a look.
Well, it'd be great to have the small, medium-sized business all under one roof, but it feels like to me Adobe Canva, which is that you've got the last.
Okay, so what else? Supermicro just went red, mind you. So this is really an interesting day. Supermicro just goes red. NVIDIA breaks the 115 and the Qs go red. Holy smokes. NVIDIA is now under what do we got there? We're under the 116, but we're also under 114 now. So what a crazy movement here. Let's keep listening in.
Workday's quarter. I didn't think it was nearly as bad as people felt. Maybe it was not as well told, but the business is not bad. What happened is they have human capital business and the financial business. They didn't get enough financial. This is incredible. But you're absolutely right. Software is no longer eating everything. I find, by the way, Palo Alto, cybersecurity coming back after what people thought was a weak quarter, judging by billings.
But we've talked about the impenetrable nature of the metrics that they give every quarter.
Yes. Oh, come on, down 11. What kind of day is today? The market was up huge at 5 a.m. What happened? What kind of negative people now? They just came to work and just said, you know what, I had a lousy weekend.
Yeah, the S&P is now flat. By the way, interesting, Jim. I mean,
crazy.
Texas Instruments, which we reported on, Elliott taking that $2.5 billion stake. Typically, by the way, it's not just stock. They often use swaps, but ultimately in economics, stake $2.5 billion. They're saying, hey, you can do a lot to improve your free cash flow. Stock's doing nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's flat.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay, look.
But it may be in part because you said how Texas Instruments not interested in. They're like, yeah, fine. Keep
wow, dude, NVIDIA's back at 104. It's just dumping off of this level here. The Qs are now down 15 basis points. Just getting a tanky doodlah here. It's actually quite remarkable what's going on here. So very, very, very bizarre on the day. But then again, it's it's a topping market. So very, very interesting here. Watching how this plays out for sure. All right. Wonder if we're gonna end up getting a bottom here, like a local bottom. So I'd be very curious about that. See if you end up getting buy the dip in or anything coming in. That'll be something I'll be paying attention to. Okay. What else, Jimbo? Anything else?
To build capacity that Elliott says is going to far exceed the revenue opportunity given the marketplace. But Texans, they basically say, listen, we'd rather be 2 years early than 2 months late.
Well, they got that inventory low. Look, I'm loath to criticize a company that's a storied company that's done very, very well and did not fall prey to Intel problems. They're not like Intel at all.
The lightest weight on the down now, Intel.
Really?
Yeah. As we go to break, check out bonds today. A busy day. We got Kashkari on the tape. Lisa Cook this afternoon. Conference board in about 12 minutes. And 2 auctions, a 2 and a 5 at 11:30 and 1 p.m. Eastern time. Stay with us.
All right. I don't know, man. I don't know. This is kind of crazy day. That's for dang sure. Whoo! Oh, look at that. They got a disclaimer now here on evaluating your own suitability if you end up listening to some of the stuff Jim Cramer says. It's good. You got to be really careful with the disclosures and the SEC and everything. It's really just important to be respectful of what the rules of the road, so to speak, are. So, like I always say, when I send my buy-sell alerts too, it's like, these are ideas. You could lose money. No chance, like no guarantee you can make. I wish I could guarantee people they make money. But yeah, you can't do that. So anyway, I'm wondering if we're going to get a bounce here on the Qs, honestly. I don't know if we are, but I'm paying attention to it closely. Tesla's really having trouble at that 174 line, though it's really holding on to the 174 line too. So it could be okay. So we'll watch that. We've got the Qs. See, the Qs are forming a bottom right here. That's a good thing. So let's see what happens. But I think there's a chance over the next 30 minutes here, you actually get some kind of recovery. See, look at that. You got a recovery on NVIDIA. You're getting a recovery on the Qs. You're all over the place on Enphase, honestly. Tesla's just stuck right here at 174, which is not great. I don't love those consolidation patterns, but I'm watching the Qs to see just sort of the overall direction of where we're going to go today. But it's a little bit of a wild day. I'll put it that way. Wild day. So anyway, we are going to jump on over to Course Member Livestream soon here. If you're in the Stocks and Psych course, I'm sending out another trade alert right now. And so if you're curious, take a look at that. So there we go. We'll see what happens. Okay, so couple trade alerts out so far today. So we'll see what happens with trading today. So far, though, as you've seen, the trading account has done very well. Very, very, very grateful. Knock on wood, we can keep it going. Knock on wood. I'm knocking hard today. But anyway, went from like a $980,000 account in March to now just over 2 mil. So if you want those trade alerts, make sure you're in Stocks and Psych. Next coupon expires this Friday already. Email us at staff@meetkevin.com if you have bundle questions. And for now, let's go ahead and push the button. Even though I'm a licensed financial advisor, real estate broker, and becoming a stockbroker, this video is neither personalized financial advice nor real estate advice for you. It is not tax, legal, or otherwise personalized advice tailored to you. This video provides generalized perspective, information, and commentary. Any third-party content I show should not be deemed endorsed by me. This video is not and shall never be deemed reasonably sufficient information for the purpose of evaluating a security or investment decision. Any links or promoted products are either paid affiliations or products or services which we may benefit from. I personally operate and actively manage the ETF and hold long positions in various securities, potentially including those mentioned in this video. However, I have no relationship to any issuers other than HouseHack, nor am I presently acting as a market maker. There you go, folks. All right, we'll see you in the Course Member Livestream. Thank you so very much for being here, and email us at staff@meetkevin.com if you have bundle questions. Good luck on a reversal on this downtrend today on the market. I think it's going to happen, but you can't guarantee it. Good luck, folks. Goodbye.